Hi friends, in this video we are going to discuss about
the previous gate question.
next question. A three-phase 50 Hz salient pole synchronous motor has per phase synchronous reactance along the d-axis 0.8 per unit and q-axis 0.6 per unit. Resistance neglected. Drawing the full load current, Ia is equals to 1 per unit. Power factor 0.8 leading. Terminal voltage 1 per unit. Then find induced EMF for salient pole alternator, for salient pole motor, the induced EMF in per unit. What is the value for salient pole motor? The induced EMF E is equals to V cos delta plus IDXD. Now we have to find out delta. Actually, for synchronous motor, Xi is equals to 5 plus delta. Phi is equals to cos inverse of 0.8, nothing but 36.6 degrees. Then next we have to find out psi. Tan psi is equals to V sin phi plus for leading minus for lagging in synchronous motor, IAXQ divided by V cos pi plus RA 0. Now calculate this value V into, what is V? 1 per unit into cos 5.8, so sin 5.6 plus 1 into XQ 0.6 divided by 1 into cos pi 0.8. If you solve this, you can get psi value, the Xi value you can get 56.30 degrees. Here phi is equal to cos inverse of 0.8, its value 36.86 degrees. Then after Xi value 56.30 degrees. Now we have to find out delta from this. Tell me delta is equals to Xi minus phi. Xi minus phi is the angle around 19.7 degrees. If you calculate this delta, you can get the value delta is equals to 19.7 degrees. So I got delta and I know V, I know XD. What about ID? In salient pole machine, ID is equals to IA into sin Xi. What is IA? IA is 1 sin Xi, sin 56.30 degrees. Its value, if you calculate this ID value, you can get 0.831 per unit. Now substitute all the values here. V 1 per unit, cos delta 19.7 degrees plus ID. What is ID? 0.831 multiplied by xd 0.8 multiplied by xd 0.8 multiplied by xd 0.8. Yeah, I substituted all the values here. I know V, I calculated delta, I calculated ID, I know the XD. If you calculate this value, then the EMF is equals to 1.606 per unit. 1.606 per unit. 1.606 per unit. This is our EMF per unit. EMF per unit. In salient pole machine, EMF E is equals to V cos delta plus ID XD. We know the value. Delta, for delta I calculated xi. Then after I have a formula, xi is equal to 5 plus delta for motor. For motor, 5 plus delta. Then I calculated the value, and delta, I calculated delta. Then after I calculated ID is equals to IA cos xi. ID is equals to IA cos xi. IA cos xi. Then substitute all those values, then we can get the answer.